Everyone to the Duane Cherry Show. I am the hottest radio program on the World Wide Web. Now, I really appreciate everyone, all of your responses. You know, the last couple of weeks I had to do a few replays, and you guys hit me up on social media and all other kind of ways saying you really enjoying the replays. So, hey, that makes me feel good. I may even take a month off and give you guys replays. No, just joking. But thank each and every one of you for always being such faithful listeners and always tuning in. And we're just going to try to continue doing what we're doing, bringing great interviews. Like I told you, people that are doing what they want to do in their lives are very successful people. And that's the type of people that I bring on this program. Now, we're going to get right into the interview. Met this young lady through her husband. If you remember, I had Curry Publishing Company on just a few weeks ago. And one of the brothers in the company, his wife said, "Hey, I do stuff too." I said, "Well, if you do stuff too, you're going to be able to be on my show." And her name is Dorcas Curry. She has her own YouTube channel. Matter of fact, she has two YouTube programs. One about seasoning your marriage, how to keep your marriage fresh and happy and upbeat, and another one about gardening. But she's also written a great book called Even in the Dark, I Surrender. And that's what we're going to talk about, some of the trials and tribulations that she went through, but she is still surviving and still moving strong. And I want to introduce her now to the listening public. Dorcas Curry, thanks for being on my show.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm extremely excited to talk to you guys today.
Okay. First, let's talk about, before we talk about your book, tell the listeners a little bit about your YouTube channel, and if they tune in, what would they get from that?
Okay. Glad to. One of them is just my regular YouTube channel is Dorcas Wiley Curry. Mm-hmm. There I call myself Farmeress D because I am a female farmer, so I call myself Farmeress D. Okay. And my husband and the kids built me a greenhouse not too long ago, and I just kind of take you through my journey of harvesting and planting, rather, and harvesting and growing and all that good stuff. And also try to give a few motivational talks on there. I have one called Talking with the Trees, and as you look at trees, the messages that you can get from a tree.
Okay. Go ahead.
So that one is under Dorcas Wiley Curry YouTube channel. The second one is called Curry Seasonings for Your Marriage. Okay. And less than 10-minute clips of my husband and I, Robert Curry and I, just talking about common things that people don't talk about too much to keep their marriage going. Communication, about PTSD, about even cooking in the kitchen together. Just talking about things that we need to hear and do to keep our marriage seasoned well. Mm-hmm. So that's Seasonings for Your Marriage.
Okay. How is the response from both programs? Are you encouraged by the listeners and how people are sending you thumbs up and all that about your YouTube programs?
Yes, sir. Curry Seasonings for Your Marriage just got kicked off not too long ago, but we do hear a lot of comments back about how well that they enjoy that. When's the next one coming up, and what they're learning from it. And people will stop us at church or at other places and say, "Well, we saw Curry Seasons for Your Marriage. We're waiting for the next one." Mm-hmm. So it's doing good. And then the one on gardening, the one that's kind of a smorgasbord of other things, but particularly the gardening one. People do ask me about that a lot, and comments about what they're doing and sharing information back and forth. So yes, sir, we do get a lot of feedback, good feedback.
Pertaining to gardening, what is the number one problem people would have with their tomatoes?
Well, last year it was the heat. was not allowing the tomatoes to grow because it was so hot. They were getting a yellow cap on the top of them. They called them a yellow cap. I can't think of the name. It's like a little where the sun was baking the top of the tomato, and not. So last year it was the heat. More so than anything. And this year, I don't think there was much going on this year that I heard that kept tomatoes from growing. I had a lot of tomatoes that came up.
Okay. For someone who wants to start a garden or create a greenhouse, what are you finding to be the most difficult vegetable to grow?
You know, it's so funny because 2 years ago, I to plant zucchini, squash, I had tomatoes, had kale, all that kind of stuff. And then when it got really hot in 2021 that it was really hot, or 2022 last year?
Okay. Well, they both was hot to me, but go ahead. Go ahead.
But it got so hot. And then this year I tried to plant my squash and zucchini. Last year they didn't come up. This year they didn't come up. So why they didn't come up, I don't have an answer. Some other people said that their squash just bloomed a flower, but the squash never came out. In which squash and in zucchini, you have a female and a male flower. So the male flowers will open, and then the female flowers are supposed to bloom as well. The bee goes into the male flower and then pollinates the female flower, and that's how you get your squash or your. Well, we would have male flowers with no female flowers. And that last year and this year, that was probably the biggest thing that I had was the flowers were not being able to procreate to pollinate. And I heard other people saying the same thing.
What about greens, Dorcas? What do we grow here in the South? Mustard, turnip. Are greens difficult to grow?
Yeah, they're not difficult to grow. I don't grow greens because I don't like all that picking and stuff in the garden. I don't want all that. That's
after it's grown, right? You got to pick them, yeah.
I don't want to be out there like
that. Okay, all right, okay.
Look, I picked greens right before Thanksgiving, probably the first time in my life going out and really picking a bag of greens. Because we have a garden at church, and I went out there to pick greens there, but I haven't planted greens. Before my mother passed, she asked me every year, are you going to plant greens? And you're going to plant greens? But mustards and turnips, I think, turnips are probably the more common greens. Collards, they're there as well, but I think most folks do the turnip greens and mustard greens.
Do you find gardening therapeutic? Is that your way to get your mind off today's troubles and problems?
Yes, sir, I do. I really do. When I go out there, I work in the garden. I talk to the garden. I talk to my plants. I listen to my music. They can't talk back. But just digging in the dirt, becoming one with the soil does enrich my soul. It gives me solace that I can go out there and then watching it grow. I think about God and the Garden of Eden and Adam and Eve, and when they planted things, how they watched it grow, and then being able to show my children how broccoli really grows. It doesn't grow in a bag at Kroger or Publix, but this is how broccoli grows and how it stalks off and how it looks and how it really tastes. So, yeah, I find a lot of therapeutic release when I'm out in my garden in the greenhouse.
And your second YouTube is Curry Seasoning for Your Marriage. And that's you and your husband sitting there and just discussing life and how life can affect your marriage inwardly and outwardly. That has to be a good feeling that even your husband even agreed to do that, isn't it?
You know, I got the husband in the world because, absolutely right. Because a lot of men don't want to talk about stuff.
Yeah.
Especially put it out for everybody. Anybody can look at it, pick at it, and do what they want to do with. But yeah, my husband Robert is very open to do things to help other people, for mainly, but able to share because we have a very unique relationship. We married late in life, and we were talking the other day and talking about being married late in life and being thankful that we're not saying, dang, I should have stayed single. Now I'm getting married. I got to fool with all of this.
Yeah.
But we're not saying that. We do very well with communicating and talking and having God in the proper place. So yes, it's very good that Robert does sit down with us and is able to share some of the things that we talk about on that channel.
Mm-hmm. How is the response with that? Because I'm thinking about YouTube now, and there's very few relationship programs out there, isn't it? As far as I know, I mean, not over on YouTube. I'm just thinking social media and cable TV, and we just don't see that anymore.
Yeah, there's some out there, but a lot of it is, I mean, people are being very honest in their own way about what they feel like they can talk about. Mm-hmm. What Robert and I wanted to do was not spend a lot of your time listening and trying to get through to the message. Mm-hmm. Give you the message in a short peel and be honest. Be honest with it. We talked about PTSD. We talked about grieving. Yeah,
grieving, yeah. Uh-huh.
And being a support for each other. How to be a support for each other. I lost my nephew this year in January, lost Daddy in February. I lost a bonus niece in April.
Oh, man.
I lost my mother in August, and my cousin is...
Wait a minute, Dorcas. All this happened this year?
All of this happened 2023. Yes, sir.
Oh, man. Hold on. Okay.
Yeah.
I tell you what, that's... Woo. Okay.
I know.
Yeah, that's I can see, and I'm glad Robert is there to be your support because, hey, my condolences go out to you to lose that many family members in such a short period of time, and the year's not even over. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Hey, let me. I'm coming up on a hard break. Let me take this break, ladies and gentlemen. I told you this would be a fantastic interview. Dorcas Curry is my guest. She's the author of the book, Even in the Dark, I Surrendered 2 YouTube programs. We're going to get right back with her to talk about her book and more about her life right after these words from our sponsors. Mission with my guest, Dorcas Curry, Nashville, Tennessee. She has 2 great channels now that I want you guys to discover on YouTube. One is Curry Seasoning for Your Marriage, and the other one is Dorcas Gardening, giving you all the gardening tips. I know there's so many of you out there that have gardens in your backyard, or you got some place in your community where you're growing your own vegetables. She's giving you tips on how to do that. She's a gardener. She grew up in Arkansas being a gardener. So the tips that she give you are what she got from generations before her. So, Dorcas, we were talking about your YouTube channel, but I want to get into your book. Okay. Because you before we went to break, you were telling us about all your family members that have been deceased from January up and now where we are, and how are you coping with that? I mean, you're talking grandmothers, nieces. How have your husband been your rock to get you through all that?
Yes, sir. But before I go there, the second YouTube is Dorcas Wiley Curry.
Oh, okay.
If they look for that second one, it's Dorcas Wiley.
Wiley Curry. Okay. All right. That's all they have to put in, just Dorcas Wiley Curry.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Okay.
Now, how am I coping?
Yeah.
There's one other family member that is now in ICU on a ventilator. My last first cousin on my mother's side. So we're in prayer that he will come through, but it's looking kind of different. So how am I coping? Robert is my rock. My husband is. Now, I want to say that Robert has lost all of his family members except for his brother. There were 4 boys, mom and dad.
Mm-hmm.
Lost them, I think, the 2020, 2018, 19.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I ain't got those.
Okay, you don't have to be, So that was any of that COVID related? With your husband's, your brothers, any of your brothers' death during that time period, your husband, brothers, was that related to COVID or?
Oh, no.
It was.
It was further back. That it was probably 2010. But you know what I say, Duane? It doesn't matter how long someone has been dead. The pain is still there.
Oh yeah.
There was a family of 6 people in his family, and Mama died, Daddy died, 2 brothers died, and the only one left is he and his youngest brother.
Mm-hmm.
And now, when my parents died, it was like he losing his parents all over again for him.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But even in that, on our YouTube channel, we talked about how I was grieving and did not realize that he was grieving as well. He was trying to take care of me, and I was in a different place, but he never took that out on me. So that's the good part of supporting each other. How I got through it, I don't know. I don't know that I am through it.
Mm-hmm.
Because this is the first time in my life, Mom and Daddy was married 71 years. Daddy was 80. Mama was, both of them were 89.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
we had them all our life. But my family, my immediate family did not break down until 2023. All of my siblings were alive. Mom and Daddy was alive as of February 2023. And then Daddy dies, and then Mama dies.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I was in a store, and at 12 o'clock, I try to pray every day.
Mm-hmm.
My phone tells me, it's 12 o'clock. So I said a prayer, and I was thanking God that I still had my mom and dad, because a lot of people, my friends, my age, still don't have their parents, one or the other. But I was thanking them that day. I left out of the store and went in another store, and my sister called me within 20 minutes to tell me Daddy was dead. He was dying. He had been rushed to the hospital.
Okay.
And it went from there.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know about this thing called grief. I don't know how to handle it yet. I've had people die, but not like this.
Mm-hmm.
So how I'm through it, I don't think that I've gotten through it yet.
Yeah.
But I am coping with
the
things that I'm teaching in my book and God's help in reverse order. Through
the journey you're coping, and I think that's the positive that I hope our listeners get out of it, is that it's rough, it's difficulty, but even through life you're able to cope. You're able to maintain, you're able to get through it.
And the big is to addressing how I feel. We're taught a lot of times, don't cry. If I want to cry, I'm going to cry. Mm-hmm. If I want to feel, I'm going to feel sad. Mm-hmm. Now, I'm not going to stay in it, but I'm going to address my feelings as they come up. And I think that's one thing that a lot of people don't do is, especially, we don't do.
We don't,
Yeah, we don't address our feelings. We've been taught to be strong and don't cry and get on up and go on and get through it. But we might not. We got to get to it before we can get through it, and sometimes gotten to it yet.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Do you think though? Do you think that's still a product of slavery? What we had to go through as a people, that we had not to show emotion. We had to always be tough and strong. We couldn't show that, any weakness. I think that's still, even from the 1800s up to today, Dorcas, I think that's still one of our problems. Go ahead.
I agree with you. I totally. But you know what? This generation now, our kids are more in tune with their feelings, and they will address their feelings. So that curse of thinking may be starting to diminish in some ways. But yes, I do believe you're absolutely on point. We were taught, you got beat, you be quiet. You go in the room and, come on back out and go back to work.
Yeah. I'm bringing up something now. I don't know if this is your expertise or not, but it seems like America is in the midst of a crime wave, and particularly with our under 18 generations. We having all these flash mobs that are going into stores and just taking out what they want to take out. And, it's just a group of us everywhere you go that just seems like they have this thinking that this is all right to do this. What do you think is going on with our generation, with this 13 to 21-year-old generation that thinking it's okay to do these type things?
Are you speaking of across the board race-wise? Are you talking about just black kids?
No, I'm just talking about in general, because I'm sure it's happening everywhere. You see it on the news. You always see a group, what they call a flash mob, that goes into a store and walk out with all the goods. What do you think is that mentality that is going on with them?
I think it has to do with parenting.
Okay.
My children ain't going to be out there doing that because they know mama would come and find them, and it would not be a good day for them. I think a lot of it has to do with parenting, or the lack of, and it's generational, it's so many facets to it, because, now both parents have to work, and both parents work up to 5 o'clock. They go pick up the kids, they bring them home, they feed them something, they put them in front of the TV, they go do what they got to do. They go to bed, they get up and do the same thing next day. On the weekend, they got to do laundry, and they got to do all this other stuff. So where is that quality time where you get to teach them about the morals of life and the things that matter? One Sunday in church, the preacher asked, how many children know what the golden rule is? Mm-hmm. He raised their hand. If it did, I didn't see it. And then he asked the adults, and there's several adults were saying, but if you go down the street now, just ask people, what's the golden rule? They don't know it. So I think it's about what we as our older generation are not teaching what they need to teach, so that the kids don't go out and do this kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. It's just what I think. Yeah. Well,
that's your opinion, and I agree with you. I mean, we even had an incident here where a mother was arrested driving her son's car. Now, she knows her son is 15 years old. He doesn't have a car. So if there's a car in the driveway and he's driving it, it has to be stolen. But she actually gets arrested, Dorcas, in the car that her son was stolen because she was driving around town in it. I mean, yeah. You can't make this stuff up.
Right. And then she looks like, what did I do wrong?
Yeah.
What did I do wrong? Yeah. And then it's a part of accountability. Who's being accountable for what's going on? If these kids are doing flash mobs, make them accountable. Put them in jail. Do what you got to do. Mm-hmm. There's consequences to everything you do. When I was coming up, if I did something, there was a consequence to it. Mm-hmm. When I taught my children, when I was raising my children, our children, whatever happened, there's a consequence. Even though they are old now, they're adult children, they still know there's consequences to what you do. Mm-hmm. And there's expectations that I and Robert have that says, no, you can't do that around here. Mm-hmm. They know not to even play rap music that's got cussing it in our house. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Because of their expectations and the limitations that we've set. I just think there's a breakdown in that right now.
Yeah. And I do too. And, you just wonder when is this going to turn around? You know, it just seems like life is always giving us something. And right now we're going through this generational thing where they feel like they're entitled. And if they're not entitled, they can take it. You know, I guess life is just a cycle. And right now we're just going through that particular cycle.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I'm also co-founder to a group called Shades of Grace Sisters. That came out of the George Floyd murder. And it is trying to build race relations with black and white, or anybody, particularly black and white people within the church. Because the church is the most segregated place in the world, if you ask me. And that's what Martin Luther King said on Sunday morning.
Yeah. And he said that in the 60s. and Dorcas is still separated.
Come on, isn't that weird?
Yeah. And if it's not, you will see more African Americans attending a Caucasian church than when you see Caucasians attending African American church.
We've had discussions about that, and absolutely true. That is absolutely true.
Yeah. And so, you know, I can't figure that out. I know I'm getting ready to take a break. Somebody told me because at a Caucasian church, you know, it starts at 10 and you're out at 11:15. So that's what they know. Hey, let me take this break, everyone. I told you a fantastic show. I am so happy to have this guest on, Dorcas Curry. We'll be right back after these words from our sponsor.
Your life is
Radio Angel, talking with Dorcas Curry. Dorcas, we were talking a little bit about life and the things that we're going through, and I know a lot of this had to do with your curry session, seasonings for your marriage, but there's a lot of people. We have a lot of listeners outside of this country, particularly on our military bases. We're finding this back from the data that we receive. And, you know, one thing is that the programs that my program comes on are typically music stations where we play what you call down home blues or the blues, or we play traditional African American gospel. And a lot of these people, because earlier we were talking about PTSD, and a lot of our military people go through that. And you made a good point about that, Dorcas, that a lot of them go through that in life, and you wanted to address that a little bit about what they could hear from you and Robert on your program?
Sure. Thank you for that. Yes, sir. PTSD is real.
Yeah.
And when Robert and we did a segment on Curry Seasonings for Our Marriage, the YouTube channels, about PTSD. Robert and we started dating. Robert said to me that if he doesn't understand something, to explain it to him like he's a 2-year-old.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's what Dorcas is going to do. So we were talking after we got married. His PTSD never showed up as far as anything to be concerned. If he got really tired, then he would have to make sure he got rest because he would get irritated. There are people who have even much more stringent levels of PTSD that can cause physical problems in the home. Robert is not that bad, but when it did come up, I didn't know how to address it. So we had to talk through it, but I had to back up off of talking to him like he's a 2-year-old, because at that point it wasn't going through. So I learned, okay, wait, stop, move back. And then we talked and he said, okay, yeah, we can't do it that way. So what we addressed on our channel was talking about how to work through PTSD, go to counseling. Don't negate it as just a bad attitude or he's having a bad day. There is something there that needs to be addressed. And we just talk about it in real time, what it's like, how we get through it, what do we do with it, and how we can find some help.
Mm-hmm. Now, was Robert in the military?
Yes, sir.
He was? Yes. Okay. All right. Could you just elaborate a little more? Could you tell the listeners exactly what PTSD stands for and what are some of the signs that you could look for?
Okay, so it's post-traumatic stress.
Go ahead.
post-traumatic stress disorder, PTSD. And post-traumatic stress disorder can come from any traumatic event that happened in your life that affects you after the event on a long-term basis. Short-term basis, but if you have an accident in a car and now you're afraid to get in a car to drive, that could be a level of post-traumatic stress disorder. A lot of it comes from the military because of the things that they went through in the military, and they put the young men in there, and you go and you shoot and you kill and you see all this kind of stuff, and then they put you back out and say, okay, go have a good life. But you got stuff that has affected you. Now you're having to deal with it outside of that area with people that don't know what it is. So you have to see if whatever traumatic event that has possibly happened in a person's life that is now affecting them afterwards.
Yeah. I mean, and even it could be the death of your parents, like how you lost your parents so close in time to each other. That could affect people that same way. It's out there and it's real.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Hey, let's talk about your book. Even in the Dark, I Surrender. It's a book about your journey through 3 things that happened in your life. Your job loss, your divorce, and breast cancer. How did you, number one, come up with the courage to write this and put it out there for everyone?
I came up with
prayed a lot.
Well, yeah.
Okay.
Definitely prayed a lot, but and then with the prayer, I felt like God said to me, Dorcas, you're going through a lot. I'm gonna help you get through this lot, and then I want you to help other people get through what they're going through. Okay. So my best example to help you get through what you're going through is what I went through and how I got through it. Okay. All right. Yeah. Oh, yeah. The place. So even in the dark, I surrender. Where did you come up with that title? One of my favorite songs is I Surrender All. Yeah. Because the only way I can get through this is to let it go, surrender, and let God help me with it. But it's easy to surrender when you can see what's going on. But when it's dark and you can't see what's going on, that's when it's hard to surrender. So even in the dark, I surrender is really learning how to surrender when you can't see what's really happening or what's going on.
Yeah. You start out saying your journey through job loss. A lot of people would say, well, Dorcas, we all lose a job. We all able to, that happens a lot. Why did that take you through such a dramatic journey, your job loss?
Because every job that I lost was because, and they didn't say it this way, but this is the way I heard it. Okay. You did a good job, but we ain't got no money to pay you no more, so you got to go. And the last time that happened, the last time that happened, it was in December. I was working for a nonprofit here in Nashville. Okay. And they came in and said, same thing I heard, but they said it with violins and all that other stuff. And that was in December. I was divorced. I was a single parent. Christmas time. And I was devastated on how am I going to do this. Now, I was wise enough not to spend all my money every month. I had some stuff put aside to take care of things. But, I got a family to get through. Yeah. But it got even deeper with this job loss because I lost my health insurance. Yeah. So I went to the doctor at the end of December, and that's when she said, you doing your physical? Yeah, I'm doing my physical. Well, let's go do your breast exam as well. Did that. January 1, I had no insurance. And that's when, in January 2010, they came back and said, I have breast cancer. Now, I have no insurance. I have no spousal support. and I'm by myself.
Yeah. Yeah.
So losing these jobs at no fault of my own, doing a good job, and I got tired of people telling me you're doing a good job, but we're going to have to let you go. Well, okay.
Yeah, yeah. Were any of these jobs, was there really one job that you lost that you just really hated happen, that you really loved this job more than anything else? Absolutely.
I was the director of a career center because most of my job was in job readiness and HR.
Okay.
So I was managing a career center inside of a mall here in Nashville. Mm-hmm. This mall opened up in 2007, and it took the place of Opryland theme park. And it's Opryland, and it's called the Opry Mills Mall. Mm-hmm. This was the first time any mall had a career center in it, and I was blessed to be directing that career center inside the mall. So loved it, had a great staff, had great people, got out in the mall to try to help people find employees for their jobs, got to get to know a lot of the managers, got good deals on a lot of stuff in the mall because they knew Dorcas. And when that job came to an end, that was probably the saddest for me because we all enjoyed what we did. We had a great working relationship, and that was a good job.
Yeah. It seems like it was, and then it just spiraled and spiraled and spiraled for you. What made you keep it together? Where did you find the inner you, the fortitude? No job, it's Christmas. I have children here looking at me saying, "Mama, this is what I want for Christmas." How did you keep it together?
I'm gonna be very, very honest. I didn't keep it together. God kept it together for me.
Okay, yeah, all right,
honest.
Yeah, okay.
What Dorcas does is I will be stressed, and I don't realize that I'm stressed until it manifests itself in my health. And because what we said earlier, you keep it going, you keep doing what you got to do, right? Mm-hmm. Well, that's what I do. That's what I did. And then I end up with migraine headaches to where they're blowing out blood vessels in my brain. I end up with severe chest pains. I end up with breast cancer because I'm stressed, and that's what stress does to your body. It makes you sick. So I couldn't keep it together. There's no way I could. I was brought up in the church. My daddy was a minister, so I became a Christian early on in life. My sister used to tease me and call me holy woman because, I was trying to be a little Christian, run around. Yeah. But they used to tease me, so I couldn't hold it together. It was me being able to rely on God. And I can tell you there were ways, the day before Christmas, somebody from a church here in Nashville showed up with a bag full of stuff for my kids. Yeah. I mean, cell phone, just I couldn't have done it. Yeah. So God, it was only God that brought me through.
Yeah, but I'm just going to say one thing. Won't he do it? Won't he do it? He will make a way out of no way. And you're just sitting there amazed, and all you can say is thank you, God. Yeah.
And sometimes it doesn't work out to where it's like, what happened? But in the bottom line, God is always taking care of me. I didn't want my mama to die. Yeah. And I prayed to God. Please, I didn't want my mama or my daddy to die. Nobody, none of them. But in praying, I wanted them to be healed. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. God decided that wasn't the plan. But even in that, I had to say, won't he do it? Yeah. Won't he do it? Won't he make a way? And they brought all these bags with all these goodies for your kids, and it may not have been what they wanted on their list, but whatever it was, Dorcas, they loved it. They enjoyed it. They had a great Christmas. Not only will he make it happen, he will make you rejoice in it, Yeah. And he looked like like you want it to look like when it happens, you still will find a place to rejoice if you're looking for it.
Yeah, it's so true, so true. Hey, let me take this last break. We're going to come back and we're going to continue talking with Dorcas Curry about a book, Even in the Dark, I Surrender. We got a couple more topics we want to touch on, the divorce and the breast cancer. So we'll be right back after these words. Looking for with my guest, Dorcas Curry. Dorcas, before we went to break, we're talking about your book, Even in the Dark, I Surrender. And you saying your journey through job loss, divorce, breast cancer. We spoke a little bit, well, we spoke a lot about you losing your job during the holiday season, and you have families and you have children and loved ones and you're divorced. But you're saying, you mentioned as one of the outliners of your subject, divorce. How was your divorce? Was your divorce painful? Did you marry that childhood sweetheart and all of a sudden it just broke apart? Because I see so many people that, go through divorce and, hey, it's really upsetting, but then you see them nowadays, they act like, hey, How did your divorce affect you?
That's one of the reasons why I feel like I ended up with breast cancer.
Oh.
That's how stressful it was.
Oh, okay.
Because I feel like I was a good wife. I was even told by the divorcer, the people that, the ex, that I was, and how sorry they were that this happened, but because I expect you to be truthful and honest and loving and do what you're supposed to do that you agreed to do. I put a lot of faith in that.
Yeah.
And when it's broken, it hurts, and it hurt me very badly. Mm-hmm. I was very stressed. But I knew I wasn't going to let it take me down. I wasn't going to let it make me look like a nappy-headed person running out there half crazy. Because she just lost her mind after he left. No. I made sure I look even better.
Yeah.
So, yeah, very hard. It's very painful. My children, it took a lot out of them, but we survived. And Robert and I met, and God is blessed.
Yeah. At that time, what was the age of your children?
Let's see. Now, I've been married twice.
Okay. Before. Well, which? Okay, I'll put it like this: which divorce was more painful than the other?
Both of them. They were both, because it was a loss. It was almost like a death. Okay. And I remember the last one, me saying to a very dear friend of mine that I wish I could die because the pain, it would be better if there was a death than going through the hurt and pain that I have. Not that I wanted to kill myself, I just wanted the pain to go away. Mm-hmm. And the escape that at that time was me saying, if I could just go to sleep and not even worry about this anymore, I'd be okay. Mm. Because I felt like I lived like God wanted me to live, and if it was my time to go, Lord, I'm ready. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So both of them were equally as devastating.
You got no signs or symptoms or anything prior to this happening? I know you got a woman's intuition now, so you sort of, you did?
Yeah.
Okay.
Both of them I did, and it was addressed, and it was confessed, and I had to make a decision, and I stayed beyond the decision, but it didn't get any better, so I felt that's not what God wants me to go through.
Yeah.
Not over and over again. That's not, no, God told us to be one with each other.
Yeah.
And when you start bringing in 2, 3, 4, it was not what I needed to be. So I needed to step to the side and let it go.
Yeah. How, when you wrote your book, was that a complete healing stage for you? Did you feel so much better when you were able to put the pen to the paper and get it out there?
Now, when book, you see that there's not a lot of story in it about my previous marriages, because that was not what happened in that previous marriage was not the reason why I needed to surrender. That wasn't the crux of it all. It was how I did it, not why I did it.
Okay.
Okay, so I give you steps to take. It's like a workbook. So I'll say to you in the book, what kind of things do you need to surrender? And I tell you to write it down, because writing brings life to your words. So there's a page in there that you write all the things that you know you need to surrender. Okay. And then I give you another page where you talk about how these things make you feel. It's called a write and discuss part. How these challenges make you feel. And then when you write it, you can now see that's why I feel that way. That's why I look that way. That's why I sound that way, because of this thing that I need to surrender.
Okay. Now, is this type of write and discuss, and I want the listeners to sort of understand too when they go buy the book. Is this write and discuss? Is this for all three topics? Is it also for job loss, divorce, and breast cancer?
It's all about surrendering.
Surrendering, yes, yeah.
All about through whatever your surrendering item is. If for you it might be alcoholism. Mm-hmm. For you it child that's just continuously running your checkbook or coming in your house late at night. Whatever it is that you need to surrender, this is what this book addresses.
Okay.
For me, it was job loss, divorce, and breast cancer.
Okay.
Now I had to go back. I'm going back to read it again and again, because now I'm dealing with the death of my mom, my dad, and the other family members in 2023.
Yeah.
And it's swirling around me, and I'm like, what the heck am I supposed to do? Go back and read your book, Dorcas, and tell you what to do.
Hey, yeah, you're telling other people, and that happens, we're telling other people what to do, and sometimes we forget, hey, it's right there in front of us, Yeah, we just have to, go back and do the steps. Breast cancer. I know anytime you hear the word cancer, it's devastating. How was of the three, was the breast cancer the most difficult for you to deal with?
No, the divorces were.
Oh, the divorces? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Divorces were.
Yeah.
Because that was a deeply emotional thing. Now, the breast cancer was emotional, but it was more so physical. And I had help to get through it by medication and doctors and friends and da-da-da-da-da. With the divorce, it just was more heavy for me.
Yeah. Now,
go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh, go ahead.
I just wanted to read. You talked about the breast cancer, and can I read something to you from my book?
Sure.
Okay. There is a section in the book that I talk about how I came to realize and looking at me with breast cancer, and it says, now I have to have chemotherapy. Chemo. The poison that enters your bloodstream and can wipe you out. Attack your good and bad white blood cells. The stuff that will make you sick. And Dorcas, you will be sick. Your hair will fall out. Your nails will turn black. Your nails will fall off. Dorcas, you will be sick. Your skin will darken. Your fingers will go numb. You will be weak. You will have joint pain and bone pain. And, did I say your hair will fall out? Dorcas, you will be sick. You will be sick. You will be sick, Dorcas. But during all this, I remember that God told me to come with my burdens, and He will give me rest. That's how I got through.
Okay. Yeah. And, I mean, Dorcas, you're an amazing woman. I mean, to be able to go through it and then want to share it with other people to help them get through it. Because a lot of times, I've had several family members with cancer, and people don't know the pain and the anguish and what they're going through. And you always wonder, where do they get that strength from to survive? What was your strength in you that kept you going and motivated?
Wow.
Your higher power, I know that, but okay.
It's a big thing, but the other thing was my children and the fact that I don't give up. I don't let nothing take me out. I can like right now, I feel like I'm falling forward, getting hit in the back of the head, and I'm falling forward, but I'm not going to fall. So even with cancer, it was mess. I was bald-headed, but I was cute bald-headed, and a lot of physical things. Yeah. But it's not a person to give up. You just can't give up. Yeah.
And you see that. I see it a lot nowadays too, that people want to give up on life, and even at an early age. I mean, you're telling, when I speak to young men and they tell me about what they're going through, and I'm telling them, man, you're in your 20s. How are you about ready to give up now? You just got to figure out another route and another alternative, and find out where your strength is coming from, and lean on that.
Yeah, absolutely. And people don't even know how to find their other strength anymore.
Yeah. Why do you think that is? Where is that connection of strength and power, and why are we losing that connection, family wise and otherwise, you think?
It goes back to parenting, to me.
Okay.
Children, you're having trouble in school. Well, what are we going to do to fix it? Mm-hmm. Don't come with the problem without let's try to figure out how to fix it. I mean, you don't like this teacher. Well, I can move you to another class, but you may find another teacher like that later on. So let's learn how to deal with this kind of person in your life so that they don't become your Achilles heel.
Yeah. Hey, I like that. I like that point that you're just saying. And because, like you said, so many of us want to run from the problem, and it's going to come up again. So how are we going to deal with this to get you through this? Yes.
Yeah. When I met at the Career Center with my staff, and they would come in with problems, and they knew you come in Miss Dorcas's office, you're going to have a solution with whatever it is you got to say. But we worked. I always ask them, okay, how do you want to handle this?
Yeah. That's
so
true. Yeah.
What they're taught now is I'm just not going to do it. I'm going to cry, and I'm not going to. But it will have a nation of people sitting in corners sucking their thumbs because they don't know how to work and do things.
Yeah, so true. Dorcas, thank you, girl. You have been fantastic. Tell everyone else, if somebody want to reach out to you, tell us again how they can do that.
They can get in touch with me through my website.
Okay.
Is Dorcas.com. My email address is Gazelle Productions, GAZELLE Productions, PRODUCTIONS, all one word, at Comcast.net. That's the most effective way to get in touch with me. If you want to order my book, you can send your order through that website. But you can also go to CurryBrothersPublishing.com to order my book. Okay.
All right. The easiest way, guys, to hit her up is GazelleProductions.com. And that's the quickest way, but she gave you so many ways and so many opportunities to talk to her.
Wait a minute. It's Gazelle Productions at Comcast.net.
Oh, okay. At Comcast.net. I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's what I said.
Yeah. All right. Gazelle Productions at Comcast.net. Thank you for being on my show, my sister. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you.
I'm about to get you back on pretty soon.
I'm ready. Let me know.
All right. Hey, everyone, I'm Duane Cherry, the Radio Angel. Thank you for always tuning in. Leave you with the words of Mr. Denzel Washington. The reason why you made it this far is because you have already have what it takes to climb any mountain and overcome any storm. Until next week, same time, same station, stay positive, and God's blessings to you all.